Hey everyone, Greenthony Titano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of this new Freddie Gibbs project, Soul Sold Separately. This is the newest full-length LP from Gary, Indiana, rapper and Grammy nominee, Mr. Freddie Gibbs, who has been on quite the creative streak as of late, dropping multiple fan favorites where he is double billed with like a particular producer, be it Madlib or The Alchemist. However, Soul Sold Separately sees Freddie back totally and completely in the director's seat, calling all the shots with an array of producers. We do see some familiar faces like Madlib and The Alchemist for a bit, but more airtime collectively is given to the likes of Jake One, Boy Wonder, K Tronada, 3-6 Mafia's DJ Paul. James Blake is in the mix too. The record also comes through with a bit of a theme from track to track as well, with all these phone recordings from what sounds like an automated message out of a hotel casino of some sort, the setting for this project presumably. And at times these transitions come hand in hand with voicemail messages from celebrity guests like comedian Jeff Ross, podcast host Joe Rogan. Freddie's own mother appears on one of these messages too. Now, these segues are not too heavy-handed across the record, thankfully, but by the end of it I was hoping they would amount to some kind of climax or something, but alas, they did not. I mean, as far as the ending of this album is concerned, is CIA a very good track? Yes. But is it a grand finish to match the grand opening of Couldn't Be Done? Not really. So in a way, it is ever so slightly disappointing that this project didn't end up feeling, no matter how many times I listened to it, like it was greater than the sum of its parts, only because it felt like Freddie was shooting for that sort of thing, and I think he is fully capable of that sort of thing. But still, regardless, there are loads of fantastic and lyrically focused highlights on this thing from front to back. The opener that I was referencing earlier is easily one of the best starts of any hip-hop album I've heard this year. They said it couldn't be done. Booming orchestra hits, banger trap beat, with some nice soul chops laced in there too. And then of course Freddie's relentlessly smooth flows and hilariously charismatic bars. They just sort of float over this beat until this stunning vocal performance from Kelly Price on the back end comes in, very humble of the king of R&B, to bow out on this track and give the floor to a different singer. But Freddie is just that kind of guy. There is also Space Rabbit, loved this one. The production on this track might be a little washed out, yes, but it certainly does play into the space themes in the lyrics of the song. Rhythmically and lyrically, we have one of Freddie's strongest performances on the entire project here, as he delivers to us a mix of haunting memories, past mistakes, past aspirations in music, and traumas that he's still processing, which were sustained in the drug game. The track is equal parts thoughtful, moody, and slick. There's also Feel No Pain featuring Anderson .Paak as well as Raekwon, which has one of the strongest and eeriest hooks on the entire project from Anderson himself. Each verse on the track has its own distinct flow and flavor. What more could you want? Plus, those mystical melodies in the background of the track are going off, and how strong of a Wu-Tang flavor they have to them really comes through when Raekwon enters the fray. There's also a lot of food for thought to be had on the song Rabbit Vision, where Freddie goes on about various moves he's made over the course of his life that he had to learn from. He extends an olive branch to Jeezy on this track, which is kind of interesting considering their years-long beef, and it seems like he's kind of taking a lesson on this track about being somewhat confrontational going forward. Don't know what that means for any current beefs that he may be embroiled in, but maybe he's turning a new leaf. But simultaneously, I know old habits do die hard, and Freddie does love to troll. There's also the track Dark Hearted, where the James Blake production here creates a cinematic highlight for the record. Once again, of course, Freddie's lyrical content is great, but it's actually his fast and tonal flow on this cut that really sells the track. Masterful execution of these melodic slides in his flow that are so Tupac influenced and just, again, done really well. There's also Gold Rings with Pusha T, with two cocaine cowboys on a moody beat. You can't really go wrong. Plus, as far as content goes, there are few better fits for Freddie right now than Pusha T, who once again is bringing his very high quality combination of steady, patient flows and double entendres and wordplay. Then on the track Grandma's Stove, we see Freddie rapping about how exactly he manages the sorrow that he has been dealt in his lifetime. He goes into detail with a lot of the pain that he's dealing with from day to day over a beat that is so ethereal, it feels like we are hearing from him in in a dream state. The Music Soul Child appearance at the end of the track is beautiful too, and provides for a really nice send-off. The song CIA that I mentioned earlier, as far as it's concerned, does kind of feel like, I suppose, a witty credits roll moment for the project. But still, as much as I enjoy it, just thinking about the sequencing of this project overall, I'm thinking, why are we hitting this moment now? It's not like we've reached, like, you know, a point in a storyline or like a climax of some sort that gives us any real sense of finality as like the listeners to this project. And given the segues as well as the introspection and gravity of the topics of these tracks as we dove further into the track list here, it felt like we were headed toward something, an action, an event, a conclusion of some sort, maybe a reveal, I don't know, you know, but either way, it doesn't really seem to have occurred. But I suppose there's only so much complaining I can do about that, since at the end of the day, we did still get a really strong crop of tracks from Freddie on this thing. It just seemed like it was being framed as, you know, building up to more than that. But with that being said, though, there is a pretty significant lull, in my opinion, on the LP in the first leg, which kicks off with moments like Pain and Strife, featuring Offset, as well as Too Much with Moneybagg Yo. And I get it. Freddie included these tracks to kind of shoot for a couple of cuts that had more trendy sounds with rappers whose kind of profile far extends past his own. And while I think Freddie played into these vibes vocally and lyrically pretty well, he also was smart to kind of bunch these moments together toward the front of the record. Still, though, the features feel so phoned in on these tracks and really only illustrate how far different of a cloth Freddie is cut from than these guys, especially as you listen to the Moneybagg Yo feature, which, like, every line on this damn feature sounds punched in. Meanwhile, Freddie sounds like he's doing his whole shit in one take. The song Zipper Bags as well, I was not crazy about. It hits with a melodic flow that I don't think is as on point pitch-wise as some of the others on the record. As much as I do appreciate the slight Bone Thugs influence coming off of this track, the structure of the song is a little scant as well. And while I think Freddie and Rick Ross have drummed up some great chemistry in the past on the track Lobster Omelet over here, I don't feel like they are as on the same page. Lyrically, Freddie heads down memory lane on this track in a really significant way. Meanwhile, Rick Ross just kind of seems like he's off in his own world, as he often is. And his verse finishes off with mention of actors being addicted to various substances, and it seems like he's kind of booting up for another verse, but then he just ends it out of nowhere for some reason. But thankfully, past this point, the instrumental takes hold and starts like changing tempo and ascending melodically into a nice segue into the next track. I don't know if that was to, like, you know, save the verse or make it sound like something else. I don't know if they were just kind of like left with that from Ross and that's it. But either way, it seems like it was just an abrupt finish and then a nice quick save on the production side. That was a really smart move, because whether it was intentional or not on Ross's part, it just seemed like a weird spot to end on. With all of that being said, though, I do think this is one of Freddie's most solid projects thus far. He has made the attempt a handful of times at this point to deliver us a project where he is, again, working with an array of producers, trying to give us tracks that cover a lot of different bases. And the results with that so far, as he has attempted it, have been hit or miss. But in the case of Soul Sold Separately, I think this is his best and most cohesive project thus far, as he is, again, sort of in that director's seat. Are there some tracks that I thought were a little mid? Yes. Do I wish all of these cuts kind of culminated into a stronger ending? Yes, as well. But I still loved the vast majority of the tracks on this thing, and I think Freddie still stands as a really significant and important rapper in today's hip-hop field, and this album is further proof of that. I'm feeling a strong 7 to a light 8 on this one. Transition, have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Freddie Gibbs, forever.